What's happening, everybody? It's your buddy Grizz, and welcome back to the battlefield. Feels good, man. Feels good. We finally got our hands on a new battlefield, which means it's time to review some weapons. I used to call this series Guns with Grizz, but let's face it, that is a super lame name, so I'm not really gonna bother naming it this time, because apparently I really suck at coming up with catchy titles. So I guess for now I'm just gonna call it Grizz Knows Battlefield 1 Weapon Reviews. Nailed it. Anyways, onwards and upwards. Today we're gonna start things off simple and do a weapon that I know everyone will have unlocked because, well, it's the default assault class weapon, the MP18 Trench Variant. Like I mentioned, this is the default weapon for the assault class. When you start up your first game of multiplayer and you're just so jazzed up that you don't even pay attention to your loadout and just hit that deploy button hoping to get right into the action, you'll be using this weapon. So I figured that'd be a good starting point. One more quick thing before I get started here. It's important to note that the weapon selection in Battlefield 1 is somewhat on the skimpy side at the moment. There are 3 different variants of the same weapon, and each variant is slightly tweaked to perform differently. But the differences are kinda negligible, I guess, and only offer a slight boost in one statistic like hip fire, while giving you a hit to another stat like accuracy, which is the case with the MP18. But each variant really has its own strengths and weaknesses, and which one you will go with really depends on the map and your playstyle that you're going to employ. So all that being said, I'm still going to review these one by one, taking the time to dive into each variant, and then I plan on making like a class guide video that will offer more in the way of comparisons between all the weapons and their variants available to each class. So let's kick things off here by taking a look at our old friendly stat chart from Simthic.com. God damn, I've missed this. Look at that chart, man. It's beautiful. So the MP18 Trench Variant does a max damage of 23 inside 15 meters before damage begins to drop off, ending at 38.75 meters where it will do its minimum damage of 13.5. Magazine size is 32, and the reload times are 2.1 seconds for the short or tactical reload, and 3.3 seconds when your magazine is completely empty. Finally, the MP18 Trench fires at a rate of 550 rounds per minute with a muzzle velocity of 420 meters per second. Being that it is the default weapon for the assault class, it's no surprise that the MP18's Trench Variant is the very basic of basic weapons, I guess. The name is very telling of its strengths, which is close quarters combat. I found it to be best when firing this thing from the hip, as the ADS recoil can be a bit bouncy, and the accuracy rating itself is not so great. Now I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret here. It's not really that big of a secret, but if you take the bayonet off of any weapon, you will get a slight boost in accuracy. But since the MP18 Trench Variant has very poor accuracy to begin with, and being able to do that bayonet charge in this game is like a godsend, I kinda don't see the advantage of taking the bayonet off of this weapon because the cons seem to outweigh the pros here. Aiming down sights while using this variant is not the best way to use it in my opinion, and I found it to be much more effective firing from the hip in a run and gun playstyle. And that's the way I would recommend playing while using this weapon, is to always be on the move, rush the enemies, hopefully with some backup with you as well, and just spray them down from the hip. I think you'll find much more success using the MP18 Trench Variant in this manner than sort of hanging back and trying to pick guys off from a distance. And I think its damage values really reflect this. 23 max damage is about on par with the SMGs of previous games, but to get that you need to be inside 15 meters. Otherwise you're only doing somewhere between that and 13.5, which is not a whole lot, and sort of explains why the time to kill at longer distances is so long with this weapon, even when using the other variants as well. Now let's see what you can do with this thing in the customization department. Not a whole lot. Honestly, I thought the customization in Battlefield 1 was gonna be a bit more robust than this, but maybe that's a topic for another video. So what you have as far as options to customize this weapon is your iron sights, magnification, barrel, and recoil direction. I'm hoping we'll eventually have more options in these categories in the future, but for now, you only have the option of the regular iron sights and the buckhorn sight. Not a whole lot of difference between the two, basically just pick whichever one you like better, but I will say I'm kind of partial to the buckhorn sight because it's a bit smaller and it obstructs your view a little less than the iron sights when you actually are aiming down your sight. Magnification has 4 different amounts: 1, 1.25, 1.5, and 2 times magnification. So this is the amount of zoom you get when you aim down your sight. The maximum is only 2 times, which is not that much, and in my opinion is only going to throw you off when you do ADS, which shouldn't be very often if you're playing this weapon to its strengths. So I would just recommend you just go with the 1 times magnification, which is essentially no magnification at all. That way, if you do ADS, you'll be able to see a bit more in your peripheral vision than if you have the 2 times magnification on it. It's really just about being able to see more in front of me for me, really. I value that much more than a tiny bit of zoom. Now the barrel is pretty self-explanatory. You can either put a bayonet on it or not. I already mentioned what I thought about that, but just to reiterate, I'd leave it on there because you should be trying to keep your engagements to close quarters whenever possible using this MP18 Trench Variant, and having that bayonet charge at your disposal in CQB is essential in Battlefield 1. It will often even save your life. So I think being able to use it is invaluable when using this weapon, and I would just leave the bayonet on there. Now recoil direction is interesting, and I really want to explore this more maybe in another video, but as far as I can tell right now, these 3 settings will alter the direction of the weapon's recoil. This option will also come down to personal preference, and you'll just have to try each one out and sort of figure out which one you like the best. But it's pretty straightforward. You can set it to left, right, or center. If it's centered, the weapon should just kick straight up, and if it's either left or right, the weapon will kick in that direction, but will have a bit less upwards recoil at the same time, excuse me. So mess around with it and actually leave me a comment. Let me know which one you guys like and why, or if you've even messed around with this at all. Seriously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. So once again, my preferred setup is with the buckhorn iron sight, 1 times magnification, bayonet on, and so far I'm really liking the right recoil direction because it kind of reminds me of the M16's recoil pattern from Battlefield 3 a little bit. Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the reload times. As far as SMGs in Battlefield 1 go, the MP18 is quote-unquote the fastest in the reloading department, but there's almost no difference between it and the Automatico, as they have the exact same short reload time, and the Automatico is only 1/10 of a second slower than the MP18 on the long reload. Even the Hellriegel has the same long reload as the MP18, so it's quick to reload, which is good since you'll need that in close quarters situations. So there you have it. Those are the ins and outs of the MP18's Trench Variant. Just to sum things up a little bit, the Trench Variant is meant for just that, the trenches. It's best used in close quarters combat, doing 23 damage inside 15 meters and being pretty accurate from the hip. Since it's a close quarters variant, I would recommend keeping the bayonet on so that you can make use of that charge, and keeping the magnification low so that you can see more in front of you when you do aim down sights. So get in those trenches, guys, defend those flags, rush enemy positions, and spray from the hip. If you're running with this weapon, you should be in the enemy's face as much as possible. And just as a side note, another great thing about this weapon is it allows you to be aggressive with your gas mask on. Since you fire it from the hip most often, you can be more confident rushing into a gas-filled room and being able to surprise enemies who sort of figure they're safe. And since it has a bigger magazine than the Automatico, you should be able to take out maybe 2 or 3 enemies before needing to either switch to your pistol or try to reload. Much better option for gas mask rushes, if you ask me. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for your buddy Grizz on this first episode of Grizzno's Battlefield 1 weapon reviews. I do so hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you'd like to show me a little love, you can always do so by clicking that thumbs up button there. And if you're feeling really generous, share the video with your other Battlefield friends. I would really appreciate ya. And as always, if you're new around here, I would absolutely love it if you hit that subscribe button, buddy. But real quick before I go, in keeping with tradition from the last time I did weapon review videos on a regular basis, I would love to see some suggestions for the next weapon you guys want me to review in the comments section below. This was always sort of like a pseudo interactive series with you guys, so let me know which weapon you want to see and I will certainly do it next time. Usually I tend to pick the comment with the weapon that has the most thumbs up, so if you see any down there you'd also like to see suggested by other people, thumb up that comment as well. If not, I'll just pick one randomly, no big deal. Anyways, that's it for me dudes. I'll see you all in the near future. Peace.